First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Martin Fellbrink. I am the product manager of Cantemo Portal. I have been with Cantemo for 3.5 years. With me as a panelist is Asmo Soinio. He is one of the lead developers of Cantemo Portal, and he's here to specifically answer your questions in the QA section. So if you find a question throughout the webinar, just write it there and he will be there to answer your question.
Hi everyone, and I'll just answer the technical ones, not the commercial ones, I think.
Okay, so I want to start with this webinar with a short introduction of Cantemo. I see a lot of familiar names. You have probably been, some of you has probably been with Cantemo for a longer time than I have been. But if you're new, I want to give you the history of Cantemo. Basically, over a decade ago, when Cantemo was founded by Tim and Param, they saw a trend of companies throughout the world that the way of communication is with videos. So they wanted to create a platform, and based on that, we started to build a platform to address the fundamental needs of media management. Have intuitive user experience, innovative ways of managing the media, and with the right tools even before you realize you needed them. So we wanted the creative people to continue to be creative and not being stopped by technological problems or collaboration problems. A brief background: we were founded in 2010, so the 10-year celebration was more or less postponed, although we had a webinar in June, but I hope we can celebrate later. We're a self-founded company, and in 2017 and 2018 we got awards from Deloitte and Gazelle for being one of the fast-growing companies in Sweden. We're still, although a small company, we're 25 employees. Most of us are based in Stockholm, Sweden, but we also have employees as Asmo in Finland, we have in Ukraine, Austria, and the United States. Cantemo works in an echo-based project delivery where we have important integrators and partners that tailor the need for the customers to actually create the workflow that the customer need. We have a lot of customers that use the user interface that are provided with Cantemo Portal, but most of the customers has a couple of plugins or modifications to their workflows. We even have some customers that have completely new user interface for their specific needs and don't have the Cantemo Portal user interface. Here is some of our customers. As you see, there are some within the broadcast industries, but we also have throughout other areas like banks, house of worships, sports teams, and so on that use Cantemo Portal. So that was the introduction. Now over to what I know some of you has already seen Cantemo Portal 5, but for most of you, this is a first-time experience. One thing that we have put some time on to actually create a new login page works exactly the same. You can have Active Directory or SAML authentication. When you log into the portal, looks pretty much from a first glance as the Portal 4 system. Some of you may note that the header row is only one row nowadays. Previously it was two. We have removed the home button, but as all of you are aware of the social media products throughout the world, the home is clicking on the logo for Cantemo Portal or your designated logo that you have in your theme. Another thing that we have spent some time on is to make the page more responsive. If you make the page smaller, you will see that there's a hamburger menu showing up. Works the same as the normal menu, also possible for your plugins to end up there just the way it used to work in Portal 4. This means it works better on phones and tablets, but that is not our main focus for Cantemo Portal. But having this option to have your portal or workflow extension within Final Cut Pro 10 to have it on a smaller size is good. We also aim to have this in the Adobe Premiere panel. But let's go back to the full screen. One thing that is new to the Cantemo Portal is that we have scrapped the list view and made a table view instead. These contains a bunch of predefined columns, but you can also have all your representative metadata fields, and there's no limit anymore of 3 representative metadata fields as it is on the pod view. Here you can have as many as you want, and all of those will show up on as a new column. We have, although, a couple of predefined fields, but you can configure that on the user settings. I'm going to come to that soon. The next thing is requested since we introduced this in Portal 4.1 to have the possibility to define what should be shown on the filters. Currently, I had nothing shown. Maybe that's the way I want to work. So have that configurable from a user perspective, and do that from our newly designed user settings page. So if I want filters to be shown, I click that, and maybe we don't work with collections in my projects, but maybe a lot with saved searches. I want this more of a Excel view, so I remove the thumbnails. As you see here, we have made tabs for profile, search, metadata, and notifications to make the settings page easier. So going back to the search page, now you have the saved search and filters, and you have the table view without any thumbnails. Next thing that we have spent a lot of time on is the new item page. This used to be a old style HTML based where we have paid off a lot of technical debt and moved it over to React if you're interested in the technology. Some of the pages are pretty much the same. We have a couple of new ones. One new is that we simply have a link down to the metadata. For thumbnails, posters, and comments and the formats page, they are essentially exactly the same as it is on Portal 4. One really good feature that I've been missing from Portals since the day that I started is this history page. This has been remade to actually show the history of an item from its beginning to its end, not just some parts of what the item has gone through. So you can see the archive jobs, when it was done, who did the archive, the result of that. You can see all the metadata updates that has been done to this item. We intend to do later to actually diff the different metadata updates and maybe revert to a previous one. But that is a bit dependent on your feedback. This is something you could see in the metadata of the item, but there were no good place to display it, and that is what has happened with this item when it comes to rule. What rules has been applied to it? That is really important for someone to keep track of this item. And you can of course go to click the link to go to the rules engine page. You can also see shares, and there you can click on the link to go to the share and view it. System jobs, there you'll see that first it was a raw import and a couple of thumbnails job. And new versions. I can show that in a bit when I go to the related item, because there I have a couple of different versions. I'm gonna quickly go through to this item to explain the different versions. Essentially, versions page is pretty much as it used to be, but we have cleaned out a couple of bugs, made metadata, so if you view a previous version, you can actually, well, it will always work to see this is a film. Of course, it's not a film that was erroneous, so in the latest version, it was the more compression final version was written in the description. I briefly touched the related page. That is similar to what it was before. One feature that we added was the possibility to find all assets, to actually go to all related assets, do a search of that. And from this page, you can actually do operations on all of the related assets, maybe do a batch metadata update. We introduced this in Portal 4.3 or already, but only for project items. But now you have this for all relation types. Yep, format page I've said is exactly the same as it used to be. The last thing on this item page is the one that we have spent a lot of time. We did several mock-ups to actually how will this work, and we think we have nailed it. I hope that it's still understandable, because access rights can be tricky, because one user can get non-access and read access from different things. How should it show for that particular user? You can filter on permission types. You can filter on users and group to actually see what would show. You can manage each role, see how was this received. It was with direct access, read-write with a priority default. The priority is something that has been in Widispine for a long time. We have not used it. This only applies if you're a system administrator. If you log in as a normal user, you will only have the possibility to set the default access rights. You can remove access, adding access rights, fairly easy. Choose between the different groups and the different users in the system. Previously it was a drop down. Now you can search for it, give him none with the highest priority. So make sure Martin Feldbrink cannot read this item. And in the reason why, you will see that it was for all roles no admin, you can see that it was given directly through collection demo material, and for the read it was given directly access to through library in rules engine. And you have a show audit that gives a full list. Here you can see that the user Feldbrink has gotten read right and rights and none. So he has all of those different access rights, but the priority is highest for none, so he should not have access to this item. That was the item page, and this was the new features that apply to most or all of the users in the system. The next of the things I'm going to show you has certain roles associated to it. The first is the recycle bin, and this is paying off a lot of technical depth, because we actually remove hundreds of lines of code to make this a normal search page, because this is a normal search page, and also make it possible to filter out. I know it was hard, especially if you had several pages and needed to restore one item. So you could do this by filtering now, and you have the filters. The only difference is that you don't see the collections, saved searches, and search history on the left side. And it says recycle bin here. So if you end up there, make sure it doesn't say recycle bin in the URL or here. It should be searched to have it seen there. The next thing that we have worked a lot with is the audit tool, where we have made a couple of nice features, and we also know that it has been troublesome for large systems. So now we're actually creating the audits and compiling the reports in the background. So if I press compile, I can, when that has been generated, this is a small one to get it fast, I will see a notification in the notification bar if I've set this up. Or if you are interested in a report on a monthly basis, okay, then you can get an email saying now the report is done and ready for you, so you can log into the system and download it. Here are the reports. You can of course view them. Not that's interesting. You can export them into JSON, CSV, or XML file if you want to do further analysis of your audits. We have also in Audit tool create a new wizard for creating audits. So essentially, I create an audit. I want this to be run every month. Could be run at 2 a.m. So this report will generate on a monthly basis. Maybe user counts of login and not filter on a specific, and give notification to me as an administrator, and run this on a period of a month. So you can get this report generated on a monthly basis. Next thing is something that I know a lot of you partners has been struggling with when you upgrade a system. And that is when we overwrite the Nginx configuration and put the system back to HTTP, and has made a couple of changes in the Nginx configuration, forcing you to do manual merge and make a couple of changes before it's back on HTTPS. That should not be a problem after Portal 5.0. Essentially, we set up Nginx to look both at to listen both at HTTP and HTTPS. We create the snake oil certificate. That certificate does not work. So if you want to use HTTPS, please make sure you have a proper certificate. If you have a proper certificate in your system already, while you upgrade, we will pick that up and use that in the system. So upgrading from Portal 4 to Portal 5 should be easy when it comes to the Nginx configuration. And here you will see if the certificate is valid, and we have written some good documentation on it. I mentioned the audit tool notifications. We have also made that is really good for a system administrator is when you run rules engine on items and they start to fail for some reason that we don't know. Then you can get a notification in the notification bar, but also an email if you start to get rules engine rules that start to fail. You can get emails here you'll see rules engine failed on this item. And this is a good rule because this rule consists of a shell script that I've written, but the shell script contains a bug. So all items that are run on this rule will fail. So it's good for demo perspective. The last feature that I want to show is the new archive framework plugin, which is Vidispine archive plugin. Essentially, what we have done is to take all the features that Vidispine have when it comes to storages and made that configurable as an archive storage. I remember when I had the webinar with Object Matrix, I got a question, when will I have Object Matrix storage as an archive storage, because that was not possible before. But now taking the Vidispine features of storages, now you can configure it to be an archive storage from a portal perspective. Also good additions are the Azure Blob storage, the Google Cloud storage, and requested most is probably the S3 Glacier support that Vidispine has. That is really important for some. Remember that to be able to cope with S3 Glacier, where we cannot actually delete the file. So if you delete the file that is on S3 Glacier or delete an item that has a file on S3 Glacier, you will still delete the item, but the file is going to stay on the Glacier storage. The system settings page was a bit changed, but what I wanted to show is the jobs page, where this has also been in Vidispine since Vidispine 5 to configure the priority on each type of import. An example would be, okay, I'm gonna, on this 10,000 items, I need to generate new thumbnails. Okay, I start a bunch of thumbnails jobs, but have them as low or lowest, so it doesn't take resources from other type of jobs. So you can predefine it. Everything it comes with as medium as default. Some jobs are maybe not used in your system, but we still have them here for easier understanding. That was what I wanted to show on the portal demo. I'm gonna head back to the presentation because there are a couple of new features that are hard to show. The first of them is support for Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 and CentOS 8. I know there are some worries and discussion what will happen with CentOS 8 support after the end of the year. There has been, I think, 2 other Linux distributions that has popped up as sort of replacement to CentOS 8. We will monitoring this throughout the year together with Vidispine and have a solution by the end of the year. We also have Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 or CentOS 7 that has support for another 4 years. CentOS 6 has been removed support for. It's out of maintenance since November last month. Most of our customers has already migrated from CentOS 6. If you're still on CentOS 6, I strongly encourage you to migrate to a CentOS 7 system. We see various problems that we believe are CentOS 6 related that we cannot really explain. So I think moving to CentOS 7 is a good step. there will not be a migration path either for going to CentOS 6 directly to CentOS 8. Next is a VidiSpine upgrade. We're upgrading from VidiSpine 4.17 to VidiSpine 5.5. That is a large step with a lot of new VidiSpine features that I'm not going through here. You can see the VidiSpine release notes. There are a couple of things that is interesting for us that I'm going to mention. First is that there's a new default engine, a new default script engine for job steps. They are moving their default from Rhino to Graal VM, and all our job step has also been migrated from Rhino to Graal VM. You can still run the Rhino job steps, but you then need to specify that the script is Rhino. So if you have customized job step, you may need to change them before migrating to Portal 5. Some upgrades related to VidiSpine. Solar has been upgraded to 8.1 and Java to 11. We have also made it possible to, and has that as a default when we install the system, is to run an external ActiveMQ. You could run an internal ActiveMQ, and we have always done that up until now. That was capped to 1 GB. Solves the problem for most of you, but we have seen a couple of strangeness with large metadata that an external ActiveMQ solves. So now you can do that through the installer, which also make it easier for us to get the health checks and get the logs in our error report. The ActiveMQ that we ship with is 5.15. We have also made a couple of component upgrades ourselves. First is we are going from Postgres SQL 9.6 to 10. We are also upgrading from Python 3.6 to Python 3.8. And we have removed the mem cache in favor of Redis. Redis is a more persistent, more scalable, and high availability support in that. We're also using Redis for Iconik that works splendid. One thing for you as a system administrator, you cannot simply restart Redis to clear the cache. There's a specific command to do that, so it survives restarts. The last thing are the new APIs. We have spent a lot of time in improving the documentation to use our APIs, and we have, while we are developed the new features, especially the new item page, we have created a lot of new item APIs. We did introduce the beta thing for endpoints in Portal 4.3, meaning more or less, well, we want this to be stable, but we have this as beta for at least one minor release to evaluate it and also get feedback from you. So if you start developing against the beta endpoint, give us the feedback. Tell us that you are using this new beta endpoint, and if there are any changes that you want to be made, it's possible during beta. So most of the, I think all of the 4.3 beta endpoints are now stable, endpoints in Portal 5.0. We have not done any changes as far as I'm aware. And we always try to keep backwards compatibility. I got the information yesterday that from our partners at Embrace that the new Pulsit plugin works straight away in Portal 5.0. So that is good news to me. We have, although, removed a lot of old APIs. We have the version 1 APIs that has been troublesome because we don't have had any good documentation on it. So sometimes we introduced unnecessary bugs due to this. So all of those has been migrated to V2. So if you have code that works towards version 1 endpoints, there should be a corresponding V2 endpoint that you can use instead. So that was everything I had to say, except I haven't read the questions, but the obvious questions: when can I get Portal 5.0, and when can I start to test it? If you're a partner, I'm hoping that within a week or two, you could at least get the pre-release of Portal 5. We have some outstanding bugs that we need to sort out. We also have a couple of UI fixes that we want to do. Maybe you saw them when I had a demo. We need to run through everything in the core theme. We have a couple of documentation things to write and a bit more of testing before it's fully released. The first version, Portal 5.0.0, will not be upgradable from Portal 4.3 on production system. Basically, if we have done something that breaks production system, I don't want that to happen. I want to give that to you and do it on a staging system, a test system. You can even do it, get a snapshot of a database in your production system, set up the same system in a Endeavor environment, and then run an upgrade that makes it much smoother when you're actually doing the production upgrade, if you have done that before. Yes, that's it. You have answered 18 questions. There are.
Yeah, exactly. There's still a few. I think you can take the object matrix ones because I don't remember the versions at all.
Yeah, I don't remember the version numbers. I've just been talking StoreNext version numbers lately, but I believe that the two last major versions are both supported in Portal 5. What about metadata admin page? Any GUI improvements? Mark, unfortunately, there hasn't been any GUI improvements. That's something we still have on our to-do list, but we focused on what affects most users, and that was not the metadata admin page. Michael Thompson's asked, will there be any increased functionality or options for the transcode creation, in particular the ability to add burn-in time codes or trimming of media? Well, trimming of media or burn-in timecode, that is possible in Vidispine. Trimming you can do with Rough Cut Editor. and burning timecode, you need to set up the transcode profile for that. That is something that is not possible to do in the user interface currently. Mark Monroy asked if there are HEVC support with latest Widispine. Yes, there are. Joe Fernandez, would you have a recording of these events? Yes, we will. We will publish this on YouTube when we have edited, if there's something that needs to be editing. Evan asked what version will allow for an upgrade from previous version if 5.0.0 want approximate timeline. Well, I don't want to give a timeline on that because that depends on what we find and how much help we get from you. If you test it and say this is working fine, well, then we can allow upgrades in 5.0.1. But we did the same in Portal and in Portal 4, and then it was 4.0.3 that we did the release in February. I think in around April it was allowed to do upgrades. So pretend we're doing it in March, maybe you can do production upgrades in May. Mark asked, rough cut editor, any changes, improvement? No. We have a lot of thoughts around that, how rough cut editor and also annotation tool, what will be the next step there. There's a lot of work around those, and they are one of the few components that still are based on old technologies. Daniel is asking, have there been any update to the rules engine with this release? Yes, there has been a couple of minor updates. For example, that you can have you can set the priority of a job or a transcode, and also some bug fixing when it comes to stability and things. Okay.
And also that you can get notifications when a rule fails, right?
Yeah. Can you customize the fields in the filter search with your own metadata? That is currently not possible. That's something we want to do for Portal 5.1. We haven't gotten around to do that. What about Elasticsearch version supported? We are on Elastic 7.7. That is not changed since Portal 4.3. When we did a decision around this, Elasticsearch 8 was not released yet, so we decided to stick with 7.7. That was all the 29 questions. Is there anyone that you want, of the answered one that you wrote in text, that you want to describe more, ask more? I'm not going to read through them all.
No. Maybe if you think you did write, someone who wrote a question and didn't get a proper answer, you can ping back and we can try to explain more.
Yeah.
A few of the questions were a bit big to answer in a small chat.
Yeah. But reach out to me and I'll get you a link of to the Portal 5.0 pre-release in a short while. But thank you everyone for attending this webinar, and looking forward to work with you more in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.